Hey there, in this travel tip video, I'm going to help you with my travel tips of how to ensure that you have overhead bin space for your carry-on suitcase. When there's no room for that carry-on bag, you feel like you have to schlep it to the back of the airplane, or even worse, the airline might check your bag the last minute, which means they could lose your suitcase. I've got some tips and tricks of what you can do if you have to travel with a carry-on suitcase like us. One travel tip is do not book any flight that has a connection or a layover less than 50 minutes. For domestic flights, if you're flying international, do not have a layover that's less than 3 hours to connect to that next airplane that's going to take you to Europe again, finally. There are so many unpredictable delays that could happen to your flight originally, as well as getting to that next flight. And one of those delays could be waiting until everybody gets off the airplane because you've got to go get that bag. One very important travel tip that you need to know, especially for 2023, is that airlines will board or allow people to get on airplanes 20 to 30 to 45 minutes before the takeoff time or departure time. So be sure you're there. One travel tip is to pack in an underseat bag only. And that way you do not have to worry when you get to your airplane seat if there's going to be overhead bin space. You've got your crossbody bag and your underseat bag. You're going to pack in compression cubes. You're going to not pack any shoes, and you're going to pack a very minimal amount of travel essentials so that you can only pack in that underseat bag. I cannot pack for 5 days in an underseat bag. And if you're like me, let's keep going. I have packed in a carry-on suitcase for over 20 years as a pilot's wife, and I've learned so many tips and tricks that will help you. Click subscribe if you can, or if you want to, and you'll get a free travel tip video from me every week. One reason that airlines do not have that overhead bin space is that more people are packing in only carry-on suitcases. Passengers want to do 3 things. They want to save money by not having to pay for a checked luggage. They want to not stand in line to check their luggage. Or 3, they want to be in control of their bag at all times, which I understand. But now passengers are fighting in the aisles of airplanes over that overhead bin space. I think they assume that that space is for their row of seats. Or passengers panic, and when they do not know their options, people get angry. It was not until after 9/11 that passengers were ordered how many bags they could bring inside the airplane. After that, it's probably because of the Transportation Security Administration that started up, they had to pay for staffing, and they knew for time reasons, they would only have a certain amount of time to go through 2 bags. So on most flights, you are allowed a carry-on suitcase and personal item bag. One tip that my mom loves is with Southwest, she can check a bag for free. So if you notice on Southwest flights, they do not have a lot of overhead bin space issues because most people are checking suitcases. So if you can do that, that's fine. As an airline employee family, we do not want to delay a flight by them last minute saying, oh, there's no room for y'all. We've got to now go get your suitcases that you checked when you got to the airport. So we only pack in a carry-on suitcase. Another reason you also might not have any overhead bin space is because of where your airplane seat is. Airlines board in different ways now. They vary from airline to airline. Like Southwest uses the herd mentality, just get on board. And United and American Airlines, they board with a numbering system order. Delta Airlines boards according to zone. The airline may board from back of the airplane to the front of the airplane, or they could board from the window seat to the aisle seat in order that way. My travel tip is to know your airline's boarding process before you buy your ticket. Here's some other information that may help. Delta Airlines allows priority boarding like all of the other major airlines, meaning that these people get to go first. I was shocked to find out that there are 6 groups of people who get to board before the main cabin even gets to get on the airplane. And then American allows 5 different groups to board before the main cabin passengers. And based on the lists of priority seating, you may want to spend enough money or miles so that you can be in one of those priority groups. I believe on Southwest you can pay in advance to make sure you're upgraded to a certain group or that you can get on first. And with Southwest Airlines, you can book or you can check in 24 hours before departure, and that dictates the order in which you get to get on board that plane. You might not have overhead bin space because of the exceptions that airlines must allow now for people to take on for special needs or mobility issues or health reasons that are defined by the law in the United States. For free, passengers can also carry on their person their carry-on suitcase, their personal item bag, a CPAP machine, crutches, a diaper bag even, an umbrella. Look at all the additional travel essentials passengers are allowed on United's flights. What is the overhead bin rule? The airlines only state that you are allowed access, but sometimes the bins are full and personnel may need to check your bag last minute. In public situations, even inside the airplane, there are unwritten rules. For instance, how many times have you been in the airplane near the back behind the wings and you can take off your seat belts because you are finally at the gate and the brakes are locked, and these people jump up with their bags and scoot in front of people? The unwritten rule is that you wait until it's your row and then you can take your suitcase down. When passengers do that, I think they're being rude and they don't care that I also have to get to a connecting flight or that I also want to get off the airplane, but maybe they just do not know it. Another unwritten rule that happened to me was a man put his sport coat up there in the overhead bin and I am trying to find space for my suitcase. I mean, a suit coat takes up like 3 suitcases almost. Did I say anything? No, because I didn't want to cause conflict, but now people are not saying no. So be prepared, businessman. And I too am guilty. I once, many years ago, I tried to put my carry-on suitcase in an open space for first class passengers. And that flight attendant busted me so fast. I was so embarrassed, so embarrassed. Confronting other passengers sometimes is just not worth it. If a person's suit coat is in your way, I would just ring the flight attendant button and ask them to help deal with it. It's so frustrating to buy an airplane ticket, show up to the airport on time, get to your airplane gate on time and pack your liquids correctly, and then get to your airplane seat and see that there is no room for your suitcase. And as a pilot wife flying standby, we have no say. We are just a number, and if I get rude to anyone, especially crew, they can take away my flight benefits for the rest of our career and life. I read in an article that before the shutdown, 25% of people only flew a few times a year. That means like 75% of the people hardly ever fly, or they've never flown before, and they are doing well if they get to the airplane on time and if they have packed in their liquids in the correct bag. They are not even thinking about, where should I put my suitcase? I just want to get my suitcase up there so that I can sit down on my seat because I'm so nervous. During the winter, those down jackets take up so much space in the overhead bins. I have heard through this winter a flight attendant say, folks, please keep your jackets with you until the bins are full. And you hate doing that because where else am I going to put it? One travel hack that might help you is to take a little plastic trash bag and pack it in the pocket of your winter coat. And then once you get inside the airplane, just stuff it inside that trash bag and stuff it in the overhead bin or push it in the floorboard of the airplane to keep your coat clean. One way that you can help yourself is to pack not in a 22-inch or 20-inch carry-on suitcase, but a rolling suitcase that is like 16 inches. If you have a smaller suitcase, then there's more of a chance that there will be room for a suitcase that's half the size of our regular carry-on suitcases. If the airline does have to check your carry-on suitcase, I need to tell you about this important tip, and that is to have all of your medicine, your essential vitamins, or whatever you need for your health in your personal item bag, ready to go, just in case they have to check the suitcase. You don't want your important medical things to get lost, and therefore if you have them in your personal item bag, you're safe. One new thing in airplanes that is exciting is that some overhead bin space now will allow you to stand up your bag on its side like I am, instead of putting it in flat, and usually they have a sign on there. Remember that airplanes were designed and created or built they were built like in the 60s and 70s, but don't think about that when you're fixing to take off, because that drives me crazy. But a lot of the newer ones are taking into account that we've got these carry-on suitcases. There's a new plane, the Airbus 321neo, which has bigger overhead bin space, allowing 24 inches of length for a suitcase. So hopefully the 22-inch bag size requirements will stay in effect. If you do have a handle that makes it 23 inches maybe, I do not think that is a big deal for airlines anymore, so just fly with that. The normal passenger term for extra overhead bin space is Airspace XL bins, and Delta Airlines has ordered 100 of the 321neo larger overhead bin airplanes, as well as United, and they're coming from Airbus. Even Boeing is making larger ones. But when will all those get installed? We shall see, so stay tuned for that. One cool thing for American airline passengers is that if you buy the basic economy seat, you're also allowed to pack a carry-on suitcase as well. I couldn't believe that. My husband has one tip that will help you, and that is be prepared to check your carry-on suitcase for free at the gate, because a lot of flights, they want to get out on time. So the more bags they can check, then the less time they have to wait on people inside the airplane to find space. So they usually make the announcement at the gate, if you'd like to check your bag free of charge, da da da. If you say, hey, if y'all need the overhead bin space, I'm happy to check my luggage free of charge, and they will usually do that. But my husband says, if you're connecting to another flight, he would not do that, because you just run the risk of them losing your luggage. We have never used these. Now we have them, but it's the airport tags for your luggage, and it keeps track, or it helps you find your luggage. If your luggage is lost and the airline system, which is usually reliable, but the airline system of tracking down luggage is not working, you can help yourself by tracking it with a luggage tracker, and it just connects to your phone. We like the Apple brand because with iPhones, there's such a large network. You can be far away and be able to tell where your luggage is, and it's very reliable for us. Some of the trackers that I have looked at mean that you have to be within 50 feet of your luggage in order to find it, and that just was not very reliable for us. But there are good trackers out there for your luggage in case it gets lost. One travel tip for you to do is when you are packing at home, have a little bag of your medicine or essentials that you want in case the bag gets lost at the top of your suitcase. And if they do have to check it last minute, just unzip it, pull out that bag, and put it in your personal item bag to ensure that you have those essentials with you. If you do need to know how to pack in a carry-on suitcase without a lot of weight, I have a video and a helpful TSA liquids video that I think will help you. I walk you through the TSA lines. So if you haven't flown in a while, that might be helpful. You get to those videos right above the shirts that I designed for you. There's a paragraph. If you just click show more, it'll take you to all of that information for you. All right, subscribe if you want to, and then say hello and introduce yourself if we have not met yet. Good luck.